Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be taking a deep dive into Isaiah, chapters 46 through 48.
Oh, interesting.
Now, you might be thinking, hold on, Isaiah,
Yeah.
isn't that a bit heavy for a, casual podcast?
Yeah.
But trust me on this one.
Good.
These chapters are surprisingly relevant, even if you're not particularly religious. We're going to be looking at power,
Okay.
resilience, and the choices we make.
Interesting.
And Isaiah, this prophet from ancient times, well, he used some pretty powerful metaphors to get his message across.
Yeah, it's amazing how these ancient texts can still speak to us today.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, we're hit with this image of people carrying their idols into captivity.
Oh, wow.
It's in Isaiah 46, verses 1 and 2. And it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things people look to for, strength and protection, they end up as burdens they're forced to carry. Makes you think about what we might be clinging to today, things that could actually be weighing us down.
Definitely. And it's interesting that these verses specifically mention Bel and Nebo. These are like the top gods in the Babylonian pantheon.
Ah, okay.
So their downfall shows how pointless it is to put your faith in things that can't really offer security or fulfillment.
It's like, I don't know, investing all your money in a stock that ends up crashing.
Right.
You thought it would, set you up for life. But instead, you're left with nothing but debt and regret. Makes you wonder, what are the idols in our modern world? Those things we chase after, but that offer no real substance. What do you think?
Well, it could be anything, really. Material possessions, fame, maybe even certain ideologies, things that promise a utopia but just don't deliver.
Right. Empty promises. And then, in contrast to these powerless idols, we see this incredible image of God carrying his people,
Right.
like a parent carrying a child, from birth to old age.
Oh, wow.
It's in verses 3 and 4 of chapter 46. Even to your graying years, Isaiah says. It's a powerful image of, well, unwavering faithfulness, something that's hard to find these days.
It really is. It makes you appreciate those relationships that have offered that kind of steadfast support.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really struck by that phrase, even to your graying years, I will carry you.
Yeah.
It made me think about my own life, the people who have been there for me through thick and thin. Have you experienced that kind of unwavering commitment?
Oh, definitely. I think of my mentors, family who've always had my back, even that inner strength we find when things get tough.
Yeah, that resilience. It's so important to recognize those sources of strength.
Ah,
And speaking of strength, that brings us to another fascinating aspect of God as Isaiah describes him, his unique power, his foreknowledge.
yeah, that's a big one.
In verses 5 through 11 of chapter 46, there's this stark contrast. On one hand, you have humans, painstakingly crafting idols, these lifeless things. And on the other hand, you have God who simply declares, I alone can shape the future.
It's a bold statement.
It is. It challenges this idea that we're, just at the mercy of fate or random chance.
It really does. It's like he's saying, I'm in control here.
Exactly. And there's that phrase, declaring the end from the beginning. It suggests a level of awareness and control that's just mind-boggling.
It makes you wonder about free will, doesn't it?
Right. If God already knows how things will unfold, where does that leave us? Does it limit our choices or empower us in some way?
I don't know. That's the thing about these ancient texts. They don't offer easy answers.
You make you think.
They invite us to wrestle with these big questions to figure out our place in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. They're more about sparking a conversation than laying down the law.
I like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
So where do we go from here?
Well, let's see what other insights Isaiah has in store for us.
Okay, sounds good. But first, a quick break.
This whole idea of foreknowledge, it's fascinating, right? I mean, some people might find it comforting, knowing there's a bigger plan. But others, they might worry about not having control. It's a tough one for sure. It can make you think about fate and free will. And then, just when you think you've got a handle on things, Isaiah shifts gears completely. Oh, yeah. In chapter 47, he lays out this incredibly vivid picture of Babylon's downfall.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's like watching a movie, this once mighty empire brought low, forced to sit in the dust
Wow.
and grind flour, stripped of all its glory.
It's a powerful image.
It is. And Isaiah really emphasizes this fall from grace, by describing Babylon as a queen, used to luxury and power,
Right.
now brought to utter humiliation.
It's kind of Shakespearean, the way he describes it.
Definitely not subtle. And he gets pretty specific about the reasons for Babylon's downfall.
Oh, like what?
Arrogance, cruelty, and this misplaced sense of security.
I see.
Remember that line? I am and there is no one besides me.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Talk about lack of humility, right? It's like they were totally blinded by their own power.
They forgot that real strength comes from somewhere else.
Exactly, from something bigger than themselves. And that line is so important because it reveals the core of Babylon's problem, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
They were so convinced of their own invincibility
Right.
that they lost sight of any higher authority or any kind of moral compass, really.
That's a trap anyone can fall into.
It is. It happens on a personal level.
Yeah.
Becoming too focused on ourselves, you know? And it could happen on a larger scale, too,
Yeah.
as a society that forgets its values.
It makes you think, are we making the same mistakes as Babylon?
Right. Have we learned from their mistakes?
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You can see it coming, but you can't look away.
And then in chapter 48, we get into this really interesting and kind of relatable relationship between God and Israel.
Oh, how so?
Well, they're God's chosen people, right?
Right.
But they're also described as obstinate and rebellious.
Oh, interesting.
They're constantly pushing the boundaries, making mistakes.
Sounds familiar.
But God, he continues to love and guide them.
Unconditional love.
Exactly, despite their flaws. You know, he sees their potential, their capacity for growth.
He wants them to be their best selves.
Yeah, and he wants to refine them like silver in a furnace. It's this idea that hardship isn't necessarily punishment, but rather an opportunity for, you know, purification and transformation.
Talk about burning away the impurities.
Right. The things that hold us back from becoming our best selves, it's a process of stripping away those layers of ego and self-deception.
So we can become our true selves.
Exactly. To reveal the true gold beneath. It makes you think about the furnaces we go through in our own lives, right? Those challenges, the tough times.
Yeah.
Are they just trials to endure? Or are they chances to become stronger, more resilient, more compassionate?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we see obstacles as opportunities?
Exactly. How can we shift our perspective? So we see them not as punishments, but as chances to forge a better version of ourselves.
It's like kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing pottery with gold.
I love that.
The cracks become part of the beauty. It's a beautiful metaphor for how our struggles, even our brokenness, can make us more beautiful.
More resilient, more whole.
Right.
I love that analogy. And that sets the stage for the final section of our deep dive. After all the heavy stuff, Isaiah offers this glimmer of hope. Chapter 48, verses 12 through 22.
Okay.
It's all about God's redemption.
Oh, interesting.
And this incredible promise of peace. It's like a breath of fresh air after being underwater for too long.
It is. And the way Isaiah describes it is so vivid.
He talks about well-being like a river, flowing to those who follow God's ways.
It's not just the absence of conflict.
Yeah.
It's this sense of abundance, of life-giving energy. It's like everything just clicks into place.
And then there's this call to go out from Babylon, which obviously had a literal meaning for the Israelites back then, but it speaks to us on a deeper level today, too.
It's a metaphor, isn't it?
It is. It's about rejecting those things that promise fulfillment but leave us empty.
Like false idols.
Exactly. It's about walking away from anything that's preventing us from experiencing that well-being like a river.
It's a powerful image.
It is. It makes you think about the Babylons in our own lives, doesn't it? Those things we need to let go of.
Toxic relationships, bad habits, negative thoughts.
Even those societal pressures that make us chase after things that don't really matter.
So many Babylons to escape from.
It's a lot to think about. What are your Babylons? And what steps can you take to go out from them? How can you find that well-being like a river that Isaiah describes so beautifully? It's a lot to unpack for sure, but it's definitely worth the effort.
It is. Our happiness, our fulfillment, it all depends on it.
Yeah, it can be a little overwhelming figuring out what those Babylons are and actually leaving them behind. Like, it's not as easy as flipping a switch.
Right. It's a process. It takes time. But Isaiah gives us some hints about where to start. He really emphasizes the importance of listening to God's guidance, being open to a wisdom that's bigger than our own limited perspective.
He even says, let me see. If only you had paid attention to my commandments, then your well-being would have been like a river.
Powerful words.
It's like he's saying, the path to peace and fulfillment is right here, but you have to be willing to see it and follow it.
And that's the hardest part, right? Tuning out all the noise of the world, all the distractions, so we can actually hear that inner voice, that deeper wisdom.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I'm, feeling stressed, overwhelmed, lost. It's usually because I'm trying to force things, relying on my own willpower, my own understanding, which is limited.
Sure.
But when I finally stop, take a breath, and try to connect with something bigger than myself, that's when things start to change. It's like I tap into this source of strength and clarity that was always there.
That's a great way to put it. It's about surrendering to something beyond our ego, something that goes beyond our understanding. Isaiah talks about remembering what God has already done. All those times we've been guided and protected, even when we weren't aware of it.
Right. He says, "Remember the former things long past, for I am God and there is no other." It's like he's saying, look back at your life. Recognize that grace has been there all along.
Shaping our journey through the good times and bad.
Exactly. And it's about cultivating trust, faith, so we can let go of this need to control everything and
Yeah.
just surrender to a wisdom that's greater than our own.
And that trust, that faith, that's what gives us the courage to leave Babylon behind, to step into the unknown.
And to know that we're not alone. There's something so liberating about that.
Absolutely. It takes the pressure off. It allows us to
Mhm.
breathe and move forward with hope, with purpose.
Yeah, definitely. But then, of course, there's that warning, that stark statement at the end of chapter 48. There is no peace for the wicked.
It's like a shadow hanging over everything else.
Right. And it's left open-ended, isn't it? Like, what does it really mean to be wicked?
It makes you think. It's not just about following the rules
Hmm.
or some dogma. It's about our actions,
Yeah.
about lining them with our values,
Yeah.
with compassion, with that interconnectedness that goes beyond just ourselves.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Isaiah, we're left with this choice. Do we cling to our Babylons? Those things that offer temporary comfort but ultimately leave us empty? Or do we have the courage to seek true peace, to align ourselves with a higher purpose, even if it means letting go of what we think we know?
That's a question each of us has to answer. There's no easy solution and no right or wrong answer, but maybe that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to embark on this journey of self-discovery, a lifelong exploration of what it means to live a meaningful life,
Yeah.
to find fulfillment.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day, your week, your life, keep those questions in mind. What are your Babylons? What steps can you take to go out from them? And how can you cultivate that sense of trust that allows you to surrender to something bigger than yourself?
It's a journey worth taking. Who knows? You might discover that well-being like a river that Isaiah talks about. It's out there. We just have to have the courage to seek it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep growing.